27F, I'm engaged to 44M, and my best friend of 3 years, 39M, just told me he loves me. I am not the oop. Oop is you, honeybee 123321. 27F. I'm engaged to 44M, and my best friend of 3 years, 39M, just told me he loves me. Trigger warning! Exclamation mark. Manipulative behavior. Less than. Original post June 13, 2017. This is a throwaway as I do not want it associated with my primary account. Also, I know that this sub has a huge issue with large age gaps, so I would like to point out that the age gap between my fiancé and I is not the center of this post, and I would appreciate it if you kept your opinions about that to yourselves, please. Now, some backstory. I met my best friend Trevor, 39M, and my fiancé Burke, 44M, almost 5 years ago when I was 22, and they were 40 and 34. They both work together, and for privacy purposes I'm keeping their occupation a secret. But I met Burke first and we became good friends, and then I met Trevor next. I was immediately infatuated with Trevor. Him and I spoke quite a bit. We went out on a few dates and I thought he felt the same way about me, but one day he dropped a bomb on me where he basically told me he never felt anything for me other than friendship and doesn't want to lead me on anymore. I played it cool and pretended that I too only wanted friendship, and he laughed and said, "Great. Glad we're on the same page." I was bitter and spiteful at first, but eventually I got over it and Trevor and I became best friends. Instead of avoiding him and cutting him out, my pride got in the way and I didn't want to appear butthurt, so I carried on like nothing happened. I have zero feelings for Trevor now. We're much better off being friends than lovers anyway. Before, I only ever saw Burke when he was at work. Him and I had a running joke where I owed him a date. He gave me a lift home one day because it was raining and he said, "Now you owe me dinner," and after joking around about it for a few years, one day I said, "The heck with it, Burke, let's go get dinner." So we went out as friends and had a good time. And we kept hanging out afterwards, going out for coffee and dinner and to the beach, and then after a few months of hanging out, I developed feelings for him, and apparently he also had feelings for me. And one evening after a Game of Thrones marathon we ended up having sex. Burke and I slept together for a few months and we weren't sure if our feelings were because of the sex or if we really did like one another. So we stopped with the sex and the feelings never left, so we just decided to start dating. And it's been pretty great ever since. We have had minimal problems, and the ones we have had were easily resolved. Burke and I have been together for 2.5 years, living together for 1.5 years, and engaged for almost a year. We're getting married in a month. Burke and Trevor have grown a bit closer since Burke and I got together. And Trevor is even going to be one of Burke's groomsmen in the wedding. I thought everything was perfect and we were all one big happy family. Now for my problem. Trevor and I went out for a walk last night, and before we parted ways he told me he's in love with me. He told me that back then when we first met he didn't feel it at the time, but as I've gotten older and matured and whatever, he suddenly realized that he made a mistake and he thinks we are compatible and that I became the kind of woman he wants to date. But when he realized this, Burke and I announced our relationship to the world. I told Trevor that this was the worst timing. I can't believe he did this to me. I'm getting married in a month and that this is totally messed up. He told me he's sorry, but he had to let his feelings be known now before I get married. He said he also hopes that some part of me still wants him. And then he told me to take some time to process this and let him know my decision later on in the week. My decision? I still love Burke. He's the man I'm going to marry. All my feelings for Trevor left years ago as soon as I realized he was leading me on and never felt anything for me. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is going to change everything. Trevor and I will no longer be friends. Our wedding is going to be one man short, and not to mention Burke and Trevor still work together. And they have to interact with one another quite a bit at work, and this is going to be such a mess. Part of me also feels like this is Trevor continuing to mess around with my head. He didn't want me back then. So I moved on, and now that I'm getting married he wants what he can't have. I have no idea. I have to tell me soon-to-be husband, but I don't know when or how. Like, when he comes home from work, do I just blurt it out? Do I do it over supper? Do I do it before bed? I know that this is going to cause a pretty big awkward mess, and I want to sort this out with as minimal casualties as possible. Burke worked late last night, so when he came home I had already finished bawling my eyes out and I was fast asleep. And when he woke up this morning I had already left for work. It's 12:12 p.m. here where I live, and Burke will be home at 7 p.m. That gives me 7 hours to work this out in my head. I'm so upset right now. I just lost my best friend. There's no way Trevor and I can continue hanging out anymore, and once I tell Burke he's most likely not going to like me continuing to talk to Trevor. Which is understandable. Sorry if this post is long and all over the place. I'm just so stressed out. Any advice will be greatly appreciated. TL. Doctor. My best friend just told me he's in love with me. A month before I'm getting married to another man. And he hopes I have feelings for him and wants me to make a decision. I obviously choose my future husband, but how do I break the news to him? My best friend was supposed to be a part of our wedding. And he works with my fiancé, so this is going to be messy. Relevant comments, info from OOP. On the age gap. It's because an older man dating a much younger girl is seen as either A, he has something wrong with him, B, she has daddy issues, or C, a combination of both, and the older guy wants to control the younger girl. It's foolish, really. I'm glad my relationship gives you hope, girl. I'm a bit of an old soul. And I had to mature faster than most girls. So while my friends were 18-19, drinking and having fun with their boyfriends, I was living alone, working full-time to support myself while going to college. Guys my age just don't cut it for me anymore. The way I see it, if you're both happy and over the age of 19, age is just a number. Cutting off Trevor is best. I already planned on cutting Trevor out. This whole situation just breaks my heart because I didn't see it coming at all, and now I have to adjust to life without having my best friend around, and Burke now has to deal with working next to a guy who tried to steal his fiancée. Update June 26, 2017. So, I didn't get a crazy amount of attention on my last post, but I still decided it deserved an update. Nonetheless, I'd like to thank you all for your comments. They really helped. First, I spoke to Burke that night. He came home from work, and before he got too comfy I told him we needed to talk, and then we sat down and spoke. I started by telling him about the start of mine and Trevor's relationship because he didn't know how our friendship began. I then told him about how he confessed to being in love with me and how I have zero feelings for him. I love Burke and only Burke, and he's the man I'm going to marry. Burke didn't look too surprised. He said he had a feeling that something like this was going to happen because every time Burke and I are in the same general area, Trevor always has this look on his face and seems annoyed and agitated in general. He always assumed Trevor was salty about our relationship together. Apparently it's common gossip around the workplace that Trevor wants a piece of Burke's woman. Burke also told me that he's kind of glad this happened in a way, because part of him always worried that I had feelings for Trevor or was going to leave him for Trevor because Trevor is a bit closer to my age than he is. I messaged Trevor and told him that there was no choice, and that I love Burke and I'm getting married to him next month. Trevor left me on read and removed me from FB almost immediately afterwards. I've seen him out in public a few times here and there, but we never spoke. He wouldn't even look at me. After about a week or two, he texted me and told me that he's sorry things had to come to this. He was almost 100% certain that I still had feelings for him and that this was going to have a different ending. He told me he's kicking himself in the ass for dicking me around in the past and missing out on his chance with me, and told me if I changed my mind I know how to contact him. I never replied. I feel closer to my fiancé more than ever, and we've both decided to try for a baby. I've been thinking of asking Burke about starting a family for a while now, but I wanted to wait until after the wedding, so I wasn't trying to squeeze my pregnant belly into a wedding dress. And apparently he was having the same thoughts as I was. I took my last BCP on Saturday, and we've both been really busy putting in some last-minute wedding plans and trying to make a baby. Thanks for your help, Reddit. A piece of me still feels hollow because I just lost my best friend of 5 years, and part of me wishes there was a different outcome, where I could have both my man and my bestie in my life and things could go back to the way they used to be, but I know that's impossible. But I'll be okay in the end. I wish I could invite you all to the wedding, but sadly we're already full. Less than 3. TL. Doctor. Told my fiancé that my best friend confessed to being in love with me. My fiancé wasn't surprised because he had his suspicions all along. My best friend is on longer in my life. I'm upset about that, but I'll be okay. I'm getting married in 3 weeks, and my fiancé and I are also trying for a baby. Relevant comments. Sharks for Parks. Know a guy who did this with every woman he ever met, but he didn't love them, just the idea of being in love with them. Oop. I'm kinda getting the I don't want you but I don't want anyone else to have you vibes from Trevor. TBH. When I was still single, secretly dating Burke, he was just my good old buddy Trev. But as soon as we came open about our relationship, we kept it in the dark pretty much right until we moved in together because of the fear of backlash over our age differences. Trevor started to get weird. Oop, once again on the age gap. I was 22 and still in college when I met Burke. I've graduated since then obviously, and I'm working full-time now, but still lol, I get where most people are coming from with the whole age difference thing, but for me, age is just a number. As long as you love each other and have a connection, and one of you isn't taking advantage of the other, then age doesn't matter. Hence the 17-year age gap between my soon-to-be husband and I lol. And I was 25 and he was 42 when we started pursuing one another. Also, I was the one who went after him, not the other way around. What is wrong with this sub-lol? Large age gaps don't always equal that both parties involved have something wrong with them. And we met when we were 22 and 39. We didn't start doing anything until I was 25 and he was 42. And I instigated it because I liked him. He wasn't like, oh damn, a young woman to take advantage of an abuse. Let's hop on that. No. He was hesitant about being more than FWBs at first because of the age gap. And then we stayed in the dark for a while afterwards, but eventually he got tired of hiding it and said, the hell with it, and literally no one in our life had a problem with it. My parents are 58 years older than Burke and they welcomed him with open arms. On if she wasted her 20s. I was never bored though. That's just how I chose to live. My friends used to give me a hard time about it. Call me Grandma Dan, or Old Lady Danielle, but it didn't bother me really. While they spent their weekends hungover, I spent them reading a book or rock climbing. And I chose to experiment and have fun in my 20s by doing things that were exciting. I mean, I guess I lied when I said I never drank. I've drank like twice and I've been drunk once and I hated every minute of it. I chose to experiment and have fun by bungee jumping, flying a plane, hiking, exploring, road tripping, camping, cliff diving, things like that. I don't think I am gonna look back at my life and think I wasted any bit of it. I think I had a pretty good life. # editor's note. Again, please remember the no brigading rule. Do not DM Oop or comment on their posts. This is becoming a serious problem on this sub and we don't want to get banned. This is a repost sub IAM, not the Oop. I like older men because they don't play as many games. Immediately gets toyed with. Shocked Pikachu. In all seriousness, I've seen larger age gaps end just fine. If your loved ones aren't pointing out red flags, you should be okay. But it's just strange to some people. Always the girl is mature for her age. I wonder why it is never the other way around. That he is immature for his age, thinking face. I love when I'm 22 and an undergraduate in college and my best friends are middle-aged men. They love hanging out with me. I'm just built different, smiling face. I love that she said, I don't want to discuss the age gap, and everyone said, too bad, loudly crying, rolling on the floor laughing. Everything she said in excuse was honestly a ginormous cliché. Good lord. What an utter nitwit. Spending your 20s on something other than partying. Like working or raising children. Isn't that unusual and doesn't make you mature beyond your years? I love how her examples of how she's so mature because of her different experiences are just different recreational activities. Her comparisons to her friends just reek of not like other girls. Being a slightly more reserved person with the privilege to indulge in every hobby that catches your eye does not actually compensate for 17 years difference in life experience. Man, I really wish I had posted asking for advice about my 10-year age gap with my, obviously, ex-husband. I was so naive. I was the one pursuing him. Yeah. After he spent years putting in your head that there is something between the two of you. Owing him a date or something. It's not that innocent. Not like the other girls. Age is just a number. I was working while everyone else was partying. Any other, my age gap relationship is different? Quote. If Op is happy with her husband, then good for her, but I definitely felt annoyed by her comments. She's not nearly as unique or different as she seems to think she is, but seriously, if she's happy and in an actually healthy relationship, good for her. Okay, yes, the age gap is icky. But legit, that's only one issue here. The other issue is the disrespect of the friend. You know she's in a serious relationship. Life isn't a movie. You are not the romantic hero by confessing your love for the taken woman. Look, I'm in an age gap relationship that began when I was 30 and my now husband was 50. We had both been married and divorced previously. I married my HSBF in my mid-20s and divorced 2 years later. So it was quite different. Having said all that, I have no issue with people having an assumption that our relationship is problematic because most of these age gaps are. I'm happy to explain how we met, how we navigate our age gap, and how we managed any potential power balance issues that arose. Originally, anyone who denies there are any issues is deluding themselves. I hate how all age gap couples have the same story. I pursued him, and he was hesitant due to our age gap cause he's so considerate and not like other guys, like can you guys try to be original? It's because an older man dating a much younger girl is seen as either A, he has something wrong with him, B, she has daddy issues, or C, a combination of both, and the older guy wants to control the younger girl. It's foolish, really. A, oh, he definitely no way has anything wrong with him, because that would call my judgment into question, and there's nothing wrong with it. I have a job, car, degree, maturity. B, Daddy issues. Haha. Silly. He's my boyfriend. I don't think of him like daddy. I'm not chasing his approval or affection or validation. See? Control me? No. I have that job, car, degree, whatever. I'm mature, remember, and an independent woman. A man isn't going to control me. I can just leave. Me and my baby. Honestly. Can we agree on some better ways to word this to make women really look at the predators masquerading as decent human beings? I'm not saying this relationship won't work or these men are going to ruin this woman, but getting someone's back up with insults on their judgment and or life experiences is not going to make them objectively consider their relationship. I was 17, he was 34. I laugh at these posts. The age gaps and people defending them. In case you change your mind, yuck. Sir, get a grip. I am 27 now and I can't imagine dating someone 17 years my senior unless they are spoiling me or just truly one in a million. JFC. Oop also sounds extremely immature, which doesn't help. I'm sure Op feels really close to her 50-yo husband. Even with all that drama, that age gap is just off-putting. It's funny how no woman in a relationship with an age gap like this ever thinks it a bad thing. Until it is and they finally open their eyes. Also, even if it's true love and everything is alright, you're still going to be dating a grandpa when you're in your early 40s and you're very likely to be a young widow. Wouldn't be my choice. I feel this is written by an old guy who wants, I am not like the other girls. I actually read and rock climb instead of partying. 20-year-old girl, and it is trying to make it seem like a good thing. In the case that is real, she needs to meet more peers of her age. Not even to date, just to realize a lot of people in their 20s are doing exactly what she is doing.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.